Hey, good afternoon, everybody, or good morning still. It's 11:34 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time here on the West Coast, here in Newman, California. And as you can see by the title, I am here to give you my Money in the Bank 2019 predictions for this Sunday. I was going to do this earlier this week, um, but never had the didn't have the chance to do. I mean, I had most of this week off, so you think I would have the chance, but I just didn't really focus on doing that. So yeah, decided to come on here and just finally do the prediction video for this Sunday's Money in the Bank event, which honestly, when I think about it, excuse me there. When I think about it, this is going to make or break WWE. Now, some people were okay with WrestleMania. Some said it wasn't the greatest WrestleMania, but they said it was better than what they've seen in the past. Decent, watchable. Um, so for them to follow WrestleMania up, easy for me to say, traditionally, they follow it up with an event like Backlash or Extreme Rules. This is the first time that I know of that they're following it up with Money in the Bank. Money in the Bank in recent years has been looked at as being basically the uh, how do I put it? This decade's, or if not this generation's, or this timeline's equivalent of King of the Ring. Hear me out. Up to about 2002, King of the Ring was its own pay-per-view. And we basically had what was known as the Big Five. That went on for about 8 years. So you had Rumble, Mania, King of the Ring, SummerSlam, and Survivor Series as the Big Five. And sandwiched in between there, you had your in your house events. Money in the Bank, of course, started out as just a regular traditional WrestleMania match. It evolved from that to being its own pay-per-view. Um, it wasn't looked at as prestigious when it started out. I looked at it still as being an in your house event. I still kind of do, but it's also looked at now by many as basically being the replacement for King of the Ring as a Big Five event. But as now by what I'm trying to say is it's looked at by others as being a replacement for King of the Ring and thus turning the Big Four into a Big Five because of the significance of the two ladder matches. The only thing is, if you're going to make it have that kind of prestige and feel to it, it needs to be right in the middle of the year, right in around June and July, like King of the Ring was. Or right in June, like King of the Ring was. This is happening in May. Now, true, it is happening 42 days after WrestleMania, but still, it's like you're you're having it happen a month later. So it kind of devalues. It kind of devalues, in my opinion, it kind of devalues the prestige from what I can tell. It kind of devalues that. It kind of devalues that in a sense. So, um, hopefully, next year when they have Money in the Bank, they um, they won't go that route. They won't go that route. Because honestly, you know, if they want to make it feel like it's a big time event, they need to basically have it on in the basically like I say, they needed to keep it in the middle of the year. So anyway, though, besides that, I can understand maybe why they're doing it now or doing it this early. They got the whole Saudi Arabia deal thing going on, and despite how people feel about that, and there's a lot of people that don't like this whole Saudi Arabia deal they have, I guess they had to move Money in the Bank. So, I guess there's a reason. Um, but quite honestly, with all that said, if you look beyond that or past that, you can kind of see perhaps maybe why they're doing it. It gives more of a year-long feel to whoever Mr. and Mrs. Money in the Bank are going to be. In other words, it gives them almost until Mania of next year to cash in. So, so that's really interesting. So that's kind of intriguing to think about that they're going that route. That they're going to go with that. Anyway, enough talking on that. Let's talk about the card itself. Now, a lot of news has come out in the past week or so. It has come out over this past week. We know that Braun Strowman, as of Monday, is out of Money in the Bank uh, after he lost to Sami Zayn in a Falls Count Anywhere match, thanks to McIntyre and Lashley. So Braun is out of that match, but I'm pretty sure they'll give him an extra something to do on Sunday. But yeah, Braun's out of the match on Sunday, and he's replaced by Sami Zayn. But that's not the only replacement. On Monday, we also saw that Alexa Bliss was scheduled to compete in a fatal four-way, but her excuse was she lost her luggage with her wrestling gear. So Nikki Cross, I guess, a now subdued Nikki Cross, or it could be all play to where it's like she's subdued and everything, but she wants people to think that. However, I think Brian Zane brought up a good point about something. He said that when he reviewed both SmackDown and Raw in his Who Wore It Better series that he does every week, he mentioned the fact that when Nikki took Alexa's place and the bell rang, it's like she went from being subdued to back to crazy. So it makes you wonder if maybe her character is when she's not competing, she doesn't hear the bell or any kind of bell, she doesn't go nuts. She's subdued, she's normal. So, maybe that's going to play a factor, I don't know. It'd be interesting to see them play that into her character and maybe her storyline with Alexa. We'll have to see. Um. Anyway, though, yeah, Nikki Cross ended up taking Alexa's place because of that reasoning. But we found out just 24 something hours ago that the real reasoning, unless this is storyline too, to kind of make it feel realistic, and I know some people will be very critical of WWE if this was the case. If this was, the case that um, this is a ploy, if you will, or kind of a storyline ploy to get people to watch the event, get them invested. The report came out that she is not medically cleared, and further reports are stating it's due to the fact that she has a concussion or she's still suffering from some concussion symptoms. Even though she competed against Bayley and won, she competed against Naomi and lost. There are reports that she has a concussion now, unless, like I said, this is WWE's way, storyline wise, of unless this is a story, unless WWE is reporting this, but they're making it feel legit, but it's actually a storyline, you know, centered around Alexa to where she doesn't want to get her hands dirty. She'll let Alexa do the dirty work for her. And then maybe the storyline will evolve to where if Nikki's a good friend, she'll go to the ring, lay down for Alexa, and, she'll go to the ring, put her briefcase on the line, and then let Alexa cover her 1, 2, 3, and Alexa becomes Miss Money in the Bank again. I could see them doing something like that. It would be very heelish because she didn't have to really lift a finger to get the briefcase. But they could go that route. Not saying they would. Now, with that said, though, I'm not trying to. I'm hoping it's not that reasoning. I'm hoping not, but I could see them, even if it's not that reasoning, I could see them playing that in to the storyline with Alexa and Nikki, if that's, if they're going to go with this. I can see them playing that into the storyline with Alexa and Nikki, to where maybe the next night on Raw, if Nikki wants to prove she's a good friend, she'll go to the ring, and as soon as the bell rings, she'll lay down and she'll let Alexa cover her to become Miss Money in the Bank. In other words, like I said, put her briefcase on the line, let Alexa pin her, and she'll become Miss Money in the Bank. I can see them playing it up like that. I can honest to God, I could see them playing it up like that because, again, it would make sense. It would make sense from a character standpoint. From a character standpoint, it would make sense for Alexa to go that route. It really would. It really would make sense for her to go that route. But we'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see. Because I'll say this: you want to get heat on Alexa. You want her to come off as a heel, as like, one of those heels that, despite the fact that fans cheer her and they love her, that because of what she does here, or because of how she would become Miss Money in the Bank, if let's say Nikki wins, then yeah, you would really get not only sympathy on Nikki for being manipulated, but you'd get so much heat on Alexa that people would want to see her eventually, when she gets back in the ring, get her ass kicked. Excuse my language, God. You would have folks wanting to see her, get her ass kicked, and you wouldn't have to, and you couldn't blame anybody for feeling that way. You couldn't, because it's like she's getting what she deserved, or she's had coming to her. Anyway, besides that, we'll have to see what they do. To me, they have a gold mine on their hand if they go that route, but I'll talk about that in a moment. But anyway, let's get into the matches now, shall we? There are scheduled to be 11 matches. 2 most likely be on the pre-show, maybe, or the kickoff show. But we have 11 matches in total, 10 as of right now on the main card, possibly 9, if you will, if they put the Cruiserweight title on the pre-show. But let's talk about some of these matches, shall we? Let's talk about, of course, the pre-show match. Daniel Bryan and Eric Rowan, the SmackDown Tag Team Champions, against the Usos. Now, it doesn't say here on Wikipedia it's for the SmackDown Tag Team titles, but it is. It's been already given. It's a given. Well, it says the following week a non-title match between the two teams is scheduled for Money in the Bank. It's for the tag titles. I think it is. I think it was changed up that way. But anyway, a lot of people are predicting Daniel and Rowan to retain or win the match. I could see that happening. I could see that indeed happening. I could see Daniel and Eric Rowan retaining the championships. If it is a championship match, which I think it is. And I can see the Usos losing because of the Revival. I mean, the Revival pretty much made it clear that they are done with the Usos. They're done with the tomfoolery and all that. So I could see that either way, whether it's for the championship, which I think it is, or it's not, I could see the Revival costing the Usos the match and continuing that feud, possibly into Stomping Grounds and into Extreme Rules, and maybe even WWE Sands of Time, which is the Saudi Arabia event. So I do agree with what a lot of people have said. I do agree that Daniel and Rowan will retain the SmackDown championships, win the match, if you will. And I think this is going to lead them into the feud, the rivalry with Heavy Machinery. So expect that to occur very soon. Next match is the Cruiserweight Championship. Again, this is going to be like, to me, I don't know exactly what they're going to, if this is going to be on the main card or if it's going to be the pre-show. If it's on the main card, at least, once in a while, a few times a year, they put it on the main card, and all that, to see how fans will react. Tony Nese and um, Tony Nese defends the Cruiserweight Championship against R.A. Daivari. R.A. Daivari, Sean Daivari's brother. This is going to be a good match. There's no doubt. I mean, Nese and Murph, from what I saw, what I could see, put on a good match at WrestleMania. So I definitely think that with the way they're pushing Daivari and the way they're pushing Nese, I can see these two having a good matchup. If it is on the main card and it opens up the show, I could see them, really waking up the crowd and getting people excited for what's to come. If they're positioned in the middle, then I can understand maybe why, because crowd might be dying off, so you need something to wake them up. Overall, I think in the end, because a lot of people are saying this, and it is true. Even if this is Money in the Bank, it's too soon to take the belt off Tony Nese. You just got it on him. Let him keep it, unless you're planning for him to chase the belt down the line. Unless you're planning for him to chase the belt down the line, I see Tony Nese retaining in what's going to be a good Cruiserweight Championship match. Next up, Samoa Joe, Rey Mysterio for the United States Championship. This is kind of the rubber match, if you will. Everybody saw what happened at WrestleMania, mainly because Mysterio was still slightly injured, but was cleared enough to compete, but just not at a full-length match. They saw him get back his win on Raw. So this is kind of the rubber match. The question is, who do they go with? Well, they've been involving Dominic in the feud, and obviously it looks like Dominic. I think I've heard he's training at the Performance Center as well. He's training with his dad and all that, so he's getting some training. So if they're going to be getting ready to debut him in a match, which I would not put past WWE, against Samoa Joe, then I expect Dominic to kind of play a role here, and I expect Dominic to help his father win the United States Championship. That's what I see. I see Rey Mysterio winning the United States Championship thanks to Dominic, and then that's going to lead to maybe some kind of confrontation down the line between Joe and Dominic. So I'm predicting Rey Mysterio to become United States Champion. Next up, we have Kofi Kingston, Kevin Owens for the WWE Championship. The way they're playing this up storyline-wise is Kevin is trying to be a realist, obviously, trying to give Kofi a reality check that, yeah, if you don't have your buddies around, then you're not really capable of winning the big one by yourself. He's basically calling out the fact that the reason Kofi, in his eyes, won the championship and everything at Mania was mainly because of the New Day helping him out. So what he's saying here is Kofi can't do it on his own. Kofi is a nobody, and that he's going to basically expose that at Money in the Bank. All this buildup, in my opinion, is It's kind of back and forth because a lot of people are saying it's too soon to take it off Kofi. And a lot of people, and I'm sure WWE realizes there would be a lot of backlash if they did that because you just got the belt on him. Why would you take it off him? But WWE's been known to do this. They've been known to do this. So again, it's kind of back and forth with me, but I'm going to go with Kofi. There's already plans for him to feud with somebody else down the line. So I'm going to go with Kofi Kingston to retain in what will be a good match. But don't be surprised if they decide to go the KO route because there are some factors in there, and I'll talk about those in a moment. But I am going to go with Kofi Kingston. Next match, Miz and Shane McMahon, steel cage. This is going to be one of the more interesting. Hold on for a sec. Be right back. Sorry about that. I guess the robo dial on World Vision keeps calling, so I got to let my mom know about that. But like I said, steel cage match for the is a well not for anything, but it's steel cage match between Miz and Shane McMahon. Again, what I was trying to say before the phone rang there. Um, this is going to be one of the more intriguing matches, if not one of the more entertaining matches, if you will. Because of the fact that mostly due to the fact that uh, there's no doubt it's going to be a good match, and a lot of people are expecting Shane to take a big bump. But the point is, what I'm getting at, the point I'm getting at is the reason I say the steel cage match is going to be one of the more intriguing is because Shane is playing up his power, is abusing his power. He's basically putting a lot of obstacles in Miz's way to try to get to him. So why do I bring that up when it comes to this match? I would not be surprised. Don't get me wrong. I would not be surprised if Shane tries to abuse his power again and maybe say, Miz, before you face me in the cage, you got to face the B team in the cage in a handicap match. Then you get to face me. And then let's say Miz beats the B team, and he'll be like, oh, wait a minute, now you got to face EC3 in the match. And he beats EC3. You know, basically, I could see them doing this with Shane, where he'll just throw every person that he could think of at the Miz, so that once Miz is worn out, Shane will get in the ring and try to take advantage. So I could see them doing that. Honestly, I could. But the match overall, depending on how it goes, I think it's going to be entertaining. It's going to be physical. And yes, Shane will take a bump. The way I see it happening is Miz is either going to let his anger get the best of him again, and he's going to push Shane off the top of the cage, because both of them are going to end up on top of the cage. We know that. But he's going to push Shane off the top of the cage, and Shane's going to land on one of the announce tables, breaking it, and subsequently win the match. Subsequently win the match thanks to Miz letting his anger get the best of him. Or I can see Miz basically thinking of it and saying, nope, I'm not going to do that. And he throws Shane back into the ring. And Shane lands hard. And maybe Miz dives on top of him and wins the match. Or he climbs out of the cage and wins the match. And if you're wondering what that was in the background, that's the noon horn. Yeah, we have one of those here in Newman. So I could see them going one of those routes with this matchup. But a lot of people are predicting Miz to win, and I'm going to go with it. I'm going to go with that. I'm going to go with that agreement that Miz is going to win. But the way I see it is we're going to get a big bump, but Miz, just when it looks like he's going to toss Shane outside of the cage, he's going to think better of it and say, nah, I'm not going to do that. And wham, just tosses him back into the ring, and Shane will probably hit hard on the mat, giving Miz enough time to climb out of the cage and win the match himself. But yeah, I see one of those scenarios happen. I see that kind of scenario happening. You know, I wouldn't put it past Miz to probably dive off and try to do a splash on Shane and win the match that way. But I do see a physical matchup here. And again, I wouldn't put it past WWE to have Shane come out and abuse his power and throw all different other superstars at the Miz inside the cage before it starts, before he officially gets to him. So keep an eye out for that. You know, keep an eye out for that. And I do agree that Miz is going to retain. Now, the next match we're going to get into here. Here we go. Just trying to make sure I get it there. Next match we're going to get into here. In fact, we'll get into both of them. The Becky Lynch matches. Becky 2 belts, if you will. Hashtag Becky 2 belts. Becky Lynch against Lacey Evans for the Raw Women's Championship. And Becky Lynch against Charlotte for the SmackDown Women's Championship. And WWE's got themselves in quite a predicament here. Now, a lot of people are projecting when it comes to her match with Lacey that Lacey's going to walk out with the title. It's obvious, you know, WWE likes blondes. They're going to give it to Lacey. Da, 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 da. That might be, and you got to write to your opinion. A lot of people are predicting Charlotte's going to win. Oh, she's going to beat Charlotte's going to become 9-time champion. Da, da, da. Now, look, you all have a right to your opinion. And you might be right. A lot of you might be right in your predictions. I was just watching Brian Zane and Jay Biggs' prediction video on Wrestling with Regret. On Wrestling with Regret's YouTube channel, on Brian Zane's YouTube channel. And both of them were kind of split. Both of them were kind of split because Brian Zane went with Becky keeping the Raw title but losing the SmackDown title. So in other words, he sees Becky beating Lacey and losing to Charlotte. Jay Biggs went the opposite. He sees Lacey winning and beating Becky, and he sees Charlotte losing to Becky. Either one of those scenarios could happen. Not saying they won't. But unfortunately, with all due respect to them, people like myself, Aaron Rift, Jeff Meacham, Chase Oliver, OTRS Central, The Schleg Daddy, Jeff Shiegel, Don Tony, Kevin Castle, Jason Solomon, if you will. We've all been fans for, JD from NY. We've all been wrestling fans for a lot longer than Brian Zane. Okay? And Brian Zane and Jay Biggs. We've been fans for a long, long time. And we have seen these kind of scenarios play out. Especially excuse me, we've seen these kind of scenarios play out. And usually when they do these kind of scenarios on a Raw or a SmackDown, or even in the past like a Superstars or a Wrestling Challenge, days, if not a week after Mania, usually the person that's in this predicament, especially if they're a champion, they end up beating the odds. They end up defying the odds. So to me, so to me, I I definitely see, in my opinion, Becky retaining both championships, and here's why. Here's why. Becky is being played up as being okay. She's a little smug at times. Like she knows she's smug because she knows she's good. She's better than Charlotte. She knows she's better than Lacey. So she's acting smug. Like, yeah, you guys can talk a big talk, but can you back it up? So to me, what I see happening here is she's going to beat Lacey. Lacey's going to try to attack her, distract her out of her, and then almost immediately, knowing how the WWE works things, they're going to transition from that almost immediately right into the SmackDown match with Charlotte. And then what's going to happen is that as soon as the bell rings, Lacey's going to try to distract Becky because she's angry she lost. But Becky's going to see that distraction, see, let's say, Charlotte attacking her from behind. And one way or another, I think what's going to happen is Lacey's going to cost Charlotte the match. Lacey's going to try to distract Becky out of anger, out of like retaliation. It's going to backfire, and Becky's going to retain. That's the way I look at it. Now, some of you might say, well, they want Becky on Raw. True, they do want Becky on Raw. I'm not saying that they don't. But point is, guys, they say one thing. They say one thing, but it doesn't mean they're going to go through with it. That's the honest truth. It doesn't mean, they're going to go through with Becky losing one of the belts, if not both. I look at the fact that Becky Lynch they're going to play it up, because you can't tell me that they didn't notice the reaction she got overseas this past week, especially this past Monday. So she's still a hot hand. She's still a hot commodity. And it is, like everybody has been saying about the other champions defending here tonight, defending at Money in the Bank, it's too soon. You just gave her a momentous win over Ronda freaking Rousey. So why would you take the belts off her, so soon? Why would you take them off her so soon? So, to me, what I look at is basically I see her winning both matches, and I see both ladies basically. I see basically. Here's what I see happening. I see Lacey and Becky going to the outside. Becky's on the corner post, and Lacey's about to try to hit her with her women's right. Becky's going to duck, and Lacey's going to hit the steal. And it's going to hurt her hand, storyline-wise, injure it, and then that's how Becky's going to win. And then Charlotte's going to try to take advantage because her match will immediately follow after. Lacey will try to distract Becky. That'll backfire, and Becky will win that way. Because in a sense, what it does between, let's say, Charlotte and Becky is it still plays up the fact that Becky cannot beat Charlotte straight up without some kind of controversial without some kind of, controversial finish or, some kind of fluke. That she can't beat Charlotte the way she is straight up right now. She can't do it. So, she can't beat this version of Charlotte, I should say, straight up. She's always lucking out. She's always fluking out a win. So it's to me that plays up that storyline even more so. And despite how fans feel, we're going to get one more blow-off match, probably at Stomping Grounds or Extreme Rules between these two. And it's going to be something that's really going to solidify the end. But my prediction is Becky retains both her championships, and it's going to be at the expense of both ladies costing each other the match. Lacey's going to cost herself the match by trying to go for the women's right and hitting maybe a steel post on the outside, or maybe Becky's going to catch her and put her in the disarmer. And I see Charlotte losing because of the fact that Lacey wants to get back at Becky, and Becky sees it coming, and somehow, some way, that helps her beat Charlotte, and it's built still on the fact that Becky can't beat this version of Charlotte, um, by herself straight up. And what it also does, but what I also see as well with Becky retaining is it sets her up for whoever the eventual Miss Money in the Bank is. Now, you might say, well, why would they want to play that up? Why would they do this? Now, some of you might say, well, it's obvious that she has to lose one of them, right? Not really. It just because she's defending back to back doesn't mean she has to end up losing both belts. Thus saving her probably losing one of those belts to whoever Miss Money in the Bank is. That's what I'm believing. And what I also see here as well as evident on Monday is I think WWE teased us with basically a new women's tag team. Think about that. Think about that. Do you think Charlotte and Lacey working together, acting all chummy and buddy together, was done because, they want to promote the separate matches? No. It was done because WWE sees two statuesque like blondes, powerful ladies, if you will, and they see basically, especially Vince McMahon, money in a women's tag team. So don't be surprised that after Money in the Bank, depending on the outcome, which I'm believing is going to be Becky retaining both belts. Don't be surprised if WWE decides, you know what, these two worked kind of well together on Raw. Let's make Charlotte and Lacey a tag team. And in a sense, what it does, despite how people might feel, it builds up the women's tag team division because now you have another team that could challenge for the tag team titles. And especially with a we like it or not, you throw in the wild card rule, that works. That could actually work in their favor. So I see Becky retaining, and don't be surprised that the aftermath is her next feud is with whoever Miss Money in the Bank is, and that's how she loses one of the belts. And don't be surprised if Lacey and Charlotte, because of what we saw on Monday, the interaction and the double teaming there, that they go off and be, set up that they are sent off to become a tag team. Well, they basically are set up to be a tag team now. Don't be surprised by that, because I won't be. I will not be surprised whatsoever. Hello, Wild Hops. Thank you for joining the stream. But yeah, like I said, don't be surprised. I mean, history has shown, and again, this is evident of how people like me are longtime fans. History has shown that two people that you wouldn't think would be tag team partners end up becoming partners. So I'm not going to put it past WWE to do that. But I do predict Becky to win both matches. Next up, Roman Reigns against Elias. Now, some people are kind of looking at this as being a match that Elias is going to win thanks to Shane. Well, here's the thing. If they do what they're going to do with the Becky Lynch matches and have them flow into each other, if they do that with the Roman match and have that match kind of flow into the steel cage between Miz and Shane, then I could see Elias winning, and I could see Roman coming out to ringside and making sure Shane doesn't escape, and that costs Shane the match. I could see that. And then thus you build towards Shane and Roman at SummerSlam, as some people are projecting. But a lot of people would say, and if you're a Vegas bettor, or you're an odds bettor, in Las Vegas, the odds favorite should be the winning bet should be on Roman, right? It should be, and I'm not denying that. I am not denying that Roman should be the heavy favorite. It's his second pay-per-view match back, second singles pay-per-view match back, so he should be the clear favorite. This though it's kind of a toss-up because you want to continue. Excuse me, there. You want to continue building Roman up as a badass. You want to keep building back up and give him back that momentum because we all know inevitably, whether people want to admit it or not, Roman's going to become champion again. We know that. We know that moment's coming. We know that moment is coming. There is no denying that. Nobody can deny that moment's not coming. So you want to continue that momentum. My opinion, guys, is I think honestly that this is going to be a good match. It may not be a pretty match, but it's going to be a good match. And I'm going to go with Roman to win. I know people are predicting Elias because of Shane's interference. That depends on how the match structure is. But I'm going to go with Roman. Roman's going to win this match. And that's going to build. And then he might have a blow-off match at Saudi Arabia with Elias. Who knows? But then that's going to build towards his feud with Shane. Here's how I look at it. I see Elias winning if the match is before the steel cage match. So I see Elias winning if Shane interferes. But I also see Roman, and then by that happening, I see Roman probably coming out and costing Shane his match. So that builds to the match at SummerSlam. But I'm safe bet. I'm going to go with Roman, no matter how, what people are thinking. I'm going to go with Roman Reigns to win this match. I just think, he's back. You want to build him back up because we all know inevitably he's going to become champion again. So I see him winning this match. I really do. I really, I just don't see him losing. I just don't see it. You know, I just, I just do not see him losing this match. I don't see it. Honestly, I don't. I mean, honestly, I don't see him losing this match. So I'm going to go with Roman to beat Elias. But again, it all depends on the match structure. The structure of the match is like which one comes on before. So, but I'm still going to go with Roman to win. All right, next match, the Money in the Bank women's match. Yes, the Money in the Bank ladder match for the women's for a shot at a women's championship on the line. Now, here's the thing. In the past, they have stated that in the past, if not in recent years, they have stated that it all depends on your brand, right? It all depends on your brand. So if you're a SmackDown woman, then and you win Money in the Bank, you can only cash in on the SmackDown Women's Championship. If you're a Raw woman and you win the briefcase, you can only cash in on the Raw Women's Championship. I think this is where, hopefully, they make some sense of the wild card structure, where they say that now, thanks to the wild card rule, anybody can cash in on any champion. And that would make sense. Let's say Natalya wins. Let's say Natalya wins the briefcase. Natalya, who is a Raw superstar, could show up on SmackDown, cash in on either Becky or Charlotte, whoever the SmackDown Women's Champion is, and become SmackDown Women's Champion. Thus, she would end up going back to SmackDown because of that. It would make sense. Same with Carmella. Let's say Carmella becomes a two-time Money in the Bank winner. She is a SmackDown superstar, right? But let's say, because of the wild card rule, she shows up on Raw, cashes in on Becky or whoever the women's champion is, Lacey or whoever. Carmella becomes Raw Women's Champion. Carmella automatically moves over to Raw. So it makes a little sense when you look at it from either perspective. But to me, the women have shown that they can have a good match, a good ladder match. There's no doubt. I mean, the first one 2 years ago was kind of like screwed up, so they had to redo it on SmackDown, which was a saving grace, in my opinion. Definitely was a saving grace, Ace, in my opinion, and others. But they have proven that they can put on a good ladder match. Last year was a good example of that. But the participants you have here are Natalya, Dana Brooke, Naomi, Bayley, Mandy Rose, Ember Moon, Carmella, and Nikki Cross. Now, the question is, who walks out? That's a toss-up. I think the obvious, I think the sympathetic choice, there are two sympathetic choices here, believe it or not, two sympathetics. Or three sympathetics, but mostly two, because the whole Nikki Cross thing we'll get into in a moment. But two sympathetic ones, believe it or not, are Bayley on SmackDown and, hear me out, Dana Brooke on Raw. Those are your two sympathetic winner. Your two sympathetic women that the fans would want to probably see win. Despite how people might feel about Dana, after reading that article, that report that came out because of due to Wade Keller's interview with a close friend of the three WWE writers, I think fans are gonna look at Dana in a better light, and I think Dana might really surprise people here. I am gonna expect some high impact moves, some like OMG moves, maybe not as like, oh my god, that was so spectacular, that's going to be talked about throughout the whole week kind of deal. I don't expect those, but I expect some to really surprise people. I expect those kind of moments from Naomi, Ember Moon, possibly Bayley, Nikki Cross, of course. So those are some of the women that might surprise you. Maybe even Dana, but we'll reserve judgment on that if she pulls off anything. And I think she probably will. She might surprise us. I'm not saying she wouldn't. But the thing is, who's going to walk out with the briefcase? The overall consensus right now is Bayley. Bayley is the obvious choice just due to the fact that, she lost the women's tag titles. Her BFF is MIA, missing in action. Doesn't want anything to do with WWE unless they give her what she wants. So, So a lot of people are saying because Bayley is sticking it out, she's not following suit with Sasha. She's not following Sasha's, path and being like, screw this company. She's basically, showing that she's going to wait it out. She's going to work within the system, see what happens. A lot of people are saying that predicting that because of that, she's going to win. WWE is going to say, you know what, Bayley, here's the briefcase. We're giving it to you because at least you're not, at least you're not, tucking your tail behind your legs and running away due to our decision making. And a lot of people are predicting that because of this, we might finally get a Bayley heel turn. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, Bayley is the overall consensus by people to win. But here's who I think is going to win. These are the three that are going to win. Here's the three that are going to win. My top three selections are Bayley, I will go with that. Mandy Rose and Nikki Cross. Now you might say, well, what about Naomi? Naomi, I could see probably winning it, but she's kind of like the wild card situation. Same with Ember Moon. But that's the one thing about these Money in the Bank matches, women or men. Okay, women or men. Every time, and I have noticed this throughout the years, every time people predict, oh, this guy's gonna win and this girl's gonna win, it's someone that you know's in the match, but you just don't see coming. You just didn't see coming. You didn't think WWE would go with that person. So Ember Moon, I'm putting in the wild card situation as someone you don't see WWE going with just yet, but who knows? I put Naomi and Ember Moon in those areas. The wild card situations is one you wouldn't see WWE going with. But My top three are Bayley, Mandy Rose, and Nikki Cross. Bayley, because I will agree with the overall consensus that she's sticking it out. She's not running away or sitting at home being like, I'm not going to come home. I'm not going to come back until you give me what I want. And what I want is to be the women's champion for a long, 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 long time. No offense to Sasha, though. But that is the overall consensus, so I will agree with that. Mandy Rose, I could see because I could see potential with Mandy. A lot of people look at her as the next Trish Stratus. Well, maybe not so. They look at Alexa as that way, but what's going on with Alexa may put that title of next Trish Stratus on the Mandy. So I can see Mandy doing it. I can even see Mandy being the kind that will get out of the ring as soon as the bell rings, go over to the commentator's table, put the headset on, and be like, and the people will be like, well, what are you doing? What are you doing out here? She's like, oh, I'm just biding my time. Biding my time. Oh, I'm not going to go in there right now. I'm going to bide my time. I'm going to let them do all the work, and then I'm going to climb up the ladder and get the briefcase. And I wouldn't put it past them to make Mandy do that. I'll have Mandy do that. So, and she is high on Vince McMahon's list, but we'll have to wait and see what they do. And the storyline they could build with her, because a lot of people look at her as, she's good in the ring, but she's not that good. I could see them pulling off the whole same scenario that they did with Carmella 2 years ago, and that's have Mandy basically act more diva-ish, avoid defending titles, and someone calling her out for it. I could see it. I could see that happening. So that they have storyline potential with Mandy on that front. Nikki Cross, as I said earlier, taking Alexa's place, the story is building itself if they go with Nikki, because if Nikki is going to prove herself storyline-wise as a good friend to Alexa, if they're going to basically like I said, if they're going to go with Nikki Cross to win, and they're going to build up this whole how do I put this storyline that I think they started on Monday with them. I could see them playing up the storyline to where Alexa wants to where Alexa would be like, well, if you're my true friend, if you're a good friend, Nikki, you'll do me this. You'll do this for me. And like I said earlier, I would not put it past them. Let's say they go with Nikki, for Alexa to try to manipulate Nikki into going into the ring, putting her briefcase on the line, and as soon as the bell rings, lay down for Alexa. Alexa covers her, 1, 2, 3, and Alexa becomes Miss Money in the Bank again. I wouldn't put it past them to do that because it would make sense. It would make it would make sense for them to do that from a storyline perspective, because then you could build off the fact that Nikki could start to realize, thanks to everybody pointing it out, that she got tricked, that she just handed over her opportunity to be the Raw Women's Champ or the SmackDown Women's Champ to Alexa Bliss, who barely lifted a finger, who didn't even lift a finger. So they could build off that, and depending on the status of Alexa down the line, and let's say she's cleared to get back in the ring, they can build to a match, maybe let's say at SummerSlam, maybe Clash of Champions, to where Nikki beats her and regains the briefcase, or let's say Alexa does cash in and become a champion, she beats her for the championship. The story basically builds on itself. It really does. And I think people need to look at that from that perspective, that it builds itself. That it's, the thing is everything is aligned right then and there for them to use. They have potential storylines. It's like with Bayley, it's going to be like, how is she going to cash in? Will she cash in cheaply and cheaply when somebody's worn out and turn heel? because that would be unlike Bayley. But maybe the storyline is Bayley's sick and tired of being nice, or or does she cash in? Basically, or does she cash in the straight up way, like the right way? And then the storyline with Mandy, if they go with Mandy, is she'll, of course she'll cash in the cowardly way, but the storyline they could build for her is the fact that she's trying to, she's acting more diva than women's wrestler, and maybe she's trying to bring back the divas revolution. Who knows? Again, that's a potential. That again, that is potential right there, storyline wise with her character. And then Nikki Cross, like I said, it builds upon itself. It builds upon itself. It, like I said, it builds upon itself with her and Alexa, depending on the future for Alexa. So those are my three top picks to walk out with the briefcase. I'm not going to pick one individual because because if I end up being wrong, I end up being wrong. So I'm going to go with my top three. Those top three, like I said, are Bayley, Mandy Rose, and Nikki Cross. Now, the men's Money in the Bank matchup. We have Sami Zayn versus Ricochet versus Drew McIntyre versus Baron Corbin versus Mustafa Ali versus Finn Balor versus Andrade Cien versus Randy Orton. This is going to be quite interesting because you have some people in here with Money in the Bank experience, majority of them anyway. Baron Corbin's won it, Randy Orton's won it. So you have people with experience. The question is, who do they go with this year? Well, people are projecting Sami Zayn, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think what's going to happen is Sami's going to get an opportunity and is going to have an opportunity to climb the ladder. And just when it looks like he's going to, grab the briefcase, that's when Braun Strowman's music's going to hit. That's going to distract Sami to the point that he's going to want to get out of the ring as quickly as possible and get out of the arena. So I could see that. So I don't think it's going to be Sami, although he does have that momentum to where if he was to win and everything, he could use that to reveal that he's actually been working for Mr. McMahon, Vince McMahon, and that everything he's been saying on behalf of Mr. McMahon, or saying towards the universe, WWE universe, is on behalf of Mr. McMahon. That could work because not only do you put more heat on Sami, if not annoyance heat, but more heat on Sami, but you put a lot of heat on Vince McMahon. Because basically, through Sami, because basically fans would be excuse me, angry at the fact that Sami Zayn is doing all this for Vince McMahon, and because this is how Vince is saying all this on his behalf, because this is how Vince feels about the universe, the WWE universe, and the fans. So, that could work. That could work. That could be a good way of doing it. And if they decide to go all the way with Sami and have him cash in and succeed, that could be like the real sticking point. But we'll have to wait and see. Ricochet is an obvious favorite because, they want to see what he can do. I would say Ricochet is an odds-on favorite to win, but is it too soon? Don't know. You could definitely expect some high-flying OMG moments from him in this match. Drew McIntyre has been in Money in the Bank matches, so he knows what to do. But we haven't. But it's a But this Drew McIntyre is more of a, as they call it, Scottish psychopath. Well, yeah, Scottish psychopath. So I can see Drew McIntyre being a favorite too. Baron Corbin, that would basically be like people being. I mean, I'll put it this way: the way Deluxe Man Alex put it in one of his reviews or one of his Q&As that he answered, he basically said, okay, they're going to go with Baron Corbin with a 2-time Money in the Bank winner. Guess what? Click, click, click. That's it. He would not watch Raw WWE for quite some time because he does not want to see Baron Corbin with that briefcase. Ali could be a Cinderella story. Sympathetic. Finn Balor, of course, people would go crazy for with that. Andrade, people would want that. Randy Orton, I think people would be okay with. But again, it's hard to pick sometimes. But if I was to go with top three, just like I did with the women, I'll go with Sami Zayn because of what I just mentioned. I would go with Andrade. I have to go with Andrade because he's got momentum. And I know people are going to hate me for this. Are not going to hate me, but they're going to frown upon this. Baron Corbin. Just for the fact that they're pushing him to the moon. They're giving him this momentum for who knows what reasoning. But if they go with Baron, I could see them putting the WWE Championship on him more so than the Universal Championship. But he is being advertised for a match against Seth Rollins. So who knows? But my top three, Sami Zayn, Baron Corbin, Andrade. I mean, I'd love to see Ricochet win. That would be a surprise. Ali the same way. Finn Balor the same way. Randy Orton, again, I wouldn't have a problem with. But the top three, in my opinion, that are the most likely to be locked in to get that briefcase, Zayn, Corbin, and Andrade. Those are the top three I'm going to go with. Because like I said with the women, if I pick one, because if I end up picking one, it's not going to make... I don't want to risk being wrong about them, so I'm going to go with three of them. And again, that being Sami Zayn, Baron Corbin, and Andrade. Now, the final match of the night, which, well, could be the final match of the night, depending on what the structure. Seth Rollins, AJ Styles. Now, I will agree that it's nice that they incorporated some archival footage from NWA, from the days in the NWA territories in the early 2000s. I think, what was it, NWA Northside or something? So I like that. And both men are phenomenal athletes, no pun intended. But both men are phenomenal athletes. And if they put this match on last, I could see being a match of the night candidate. I can. Depending on whoever's behind the scenes booking it. But I could see it being a match of the night candidate. The question is, what direction are they going to go? Are they going to put the belt on AJ? Take it off Seth sooner, a month after he's won it? Are they going to go with Seth? Or are they going to go double count out, double disqualification, double knockout? What are they going to do? This is one of those matches to where it's up in the air. I know that Brian Zane and Jay Biggs picked Seth to win. But to me, it's a toss-up. It really is. I mean, again, you can't put anything past WWE, even though it's logical. The logical sense is keep the belt on the person that just won it. So, again, I would not put it past WWE to do a belt change, to do a title change. Due to the fact that, of course, there are reports that Seth has is dealing with a back injury and all that. So I wouldn't put it past them. But again, I don't really know. My logical conclusion, it's going to be a double count out. It's going to be double something. Double disqualification, double KO, or double count out. I'm going with a count out. And I'm going with a cash in. That's right. I'm going with a cash in. I'm going with somebody cashing in at the end of this match because of its double disqualification, knockout, count out, whatever it is. I'm going with whoever the Money in the Bank winner is to cash in. I'm going with either Andrade, Corbin, or Zayn to cash in on a weakened Rollins, pin him, and walk out with the Universal Championship. I'm counting on that. Because if you want people, you want to get fans talking about Money in the Bank and especially the Universal Championship. That's how you do it. That's how you do it. So, so yeah, I see the match between AJ and Rollins being up in the air. But if I was to go with any prediction, I would say a double count out, knockout, disqualification, followed up by a successful cash in by whoever the men's Money in the Bank winner is. Out of the top three that I've picked, that is, and one of those three walking out with the Universal Championship. And that would make sense if you want to build to Rollins and Corbin at Extreme Rules or Stomping Grounds. Kind of see what I'm saying? They kind of work. That kind of makes sense in its own right. And I know people like the Lex Man do not want to see that scenario play out, but what are you going to do? It makes logical sense. Because if they decide to make Corbin a two-time Money in the Bank winner, he is the kind of guy, from a character standpoint, that would do something like this. So, yeah. So overall, though, those are just my thoughts on Money in the Bank. Again, my top three Money in the Bank, my top three picks for both Money in the Bank matches are, as far as the women, Bayley, Mandy Rose, and Nikki Cross. And then on the men's side, Sami Zayn, Baron Corbin, and Andrade. As far as the rest of the matches, again, I think Becky's going to retain both belts, and there's a reason. And also think about it. There is a reasoning why Lacey and Charlotte teamed up on Monday, double teamed Becky. I see Miz winning his match, Kofi Kingston winning his, Rey Mysterio beating Samoa Joe thanks to Dominic. I see Roman Reigns winning his match, unless, of course, his match is before the steel cage match. I see Tony Nese beating Daivari, and I see Daniel Bryan and Eric Rowan retaining / winning the match against the Usos. And then, like I said, I see the night ending with Seth Rollins and AJ Styles going to either a double countout, double disqualification, double knockout, KO, if you will. And then I see whoever the Money in the Bank winner is, whether it's Zayn, Corbin, or Andrade, sneaking in, cashing in on AJ, covering him, and winning the match and winning the Universal Championship. I would predict more so Corbin to do that. Maybe Zayn ain't the way he is right now, but I would predict more so Corbin if they decide to go and make him a two-time Money in the Bank winner. So overall, guys, that is just my Money in the Bank predictions and what I think could happen potentially, and some of the storylines we can get out of it or can be built upon it, especially out of the ladder matches. But let me know what you guys all think of your thoughts about who you think will walk out with the briefcases. Let me know down below. Comment if you like. I'd love to hear from each and one of you. Thank you all for tuning in live, watching this live stream. Thank you for those that were in the chat. Wild Hops, thank you. And don't worry, Wild Hops. I'm still going to do a CAW League deal. It's just probably going to be more of video capture than live stream, so I don't end up with the whole, oh, your system's getting too hot deal. But I think that was mostly due to the fact that I had updates happening back to back with my Overwatch game and my PS4 system. But overall, guys, thank you all for watching and watching live, being in the chat room. Thank you all for watching post live. Let me know what you all think down below. Comment if you like, and I will talk to you guys all later. So till then, God bless. Take care. I am out.